LSI 2021 at the beautiful Ritz-Carlton Laguna Niguel. It's nearly true tales of innovation. I'm your host, Benjamin Glenn. Say hello to my guest, Dennis McWilliams at LSI 2021. Dennis, it's great to see you this morning.
Ben, great to be here and great to be in person.
So Dennis, what's going on with you now?
Gosh, well, after 20 years on the operating side, starting companies in biotech and medtech, as my friends say, I've shifted over to the dark side, as they say, and in venture capital. I'm a partner at Santé Ventures, and we're early stage investment fund, doing medtech, biotech, and health tech investments, and so been there and enjoying shifting over to the investor side. We're early stage, so it's great to work with young first-time entrepreneurs, and just enjoying the diversity and seeing lots of new innovation after 15 years in the surgical space. So it's nice to be seeing new things.
That's great. So LSI must be a great conference for you. A lot of the companies that are here pitching are they in the strike point?
It is. I mean, it's the Emergent MedTech Conference, and so these are earlier stage companies. Between their seed round and trying to think to raise a larger seed or a Series A. So a lot of companies here that kind of fit our profile. But as a venture fund, we're looking within each fund for 7 or 8 medical device investments. So still long odds finding, but there's several things that are interesting here, and I've been very active looking in the digital surgery space, and so this is pretty much every digital surgery company that's out there is here. So it's been a good and just good to reconnect with a lot of really talented entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I think Scott Pantel does a fantastic job of bringing together. We've got investors like you, the startups are here, strategics are here. We've got a great mix.
It's a good ecosystem, and the forum's nice as well. I mean, it's it's nice. You can schedule the one-on-ones as needed, but so much of the value of something like this is just the mingling, the networking, the happenstance interactions. And then of course having panel discussions, overlooking the Pacific Ocean outside is not too bad. And so the COVID theme of outdoor meetings has certainly served well here. And like last night was spectacular.
Oh, it was wonderful. Yeah, it's like California was made for outdoor meetings.
Yeah. Well, and then you had the panel, the first panel on the digitization of surgery and that company. I mean, you have some of the top groups that are investing in that space, and there's been massive investment and lots of acquisitions in the space. So it's just been it's been very timely to be able to tap into some of those themes here. And Scott does a great job, I think, of making sure that the tracks are fresh and there's something interesting here for everyone.
Well, it seems like your work at Santé, you're going beyond investing. There's an ecosystem component in education. Tell us more about that.
Sure. Well, I mean, I think as early stage investors, we do a lot of work with first-time CEOs. We do a lot of company formation. So, a lot of times we're working with an academic institution that has something interesting. They may not even have an entrepreneur or a team. So we're oftentimes finding the need to link up with talent, with ideas. So we started a couple of interesting initiatives within Santé. One is our Venture Fellows program, and it's a program where basically we rotate young talent, which we think has CEO potential down the road, integrate them into the venture world at Santé, have them help us look at deals, have them help us start companies, and sometimes match make them with some of these other ideas, and then help launch and birth those things. And so our first class of 2 Venture Fellows are graduating this year and moving into really interesting executive positions in our portfolio. So it's been that's been a really fun thing for me. I've been passionate about education and innovation most of my career, and so it's been fun to implement that within Santé.
Well, I remember coming across you with SparkMed Advisors,
Yeah.
and really, it was sort of cropped up within the biodesign ecosystem at Stanford, and then at South by Southwest.
Yes.
Which I think was we had a great
Yeah,
time.
SparkMed has been a bunch of fun, and it was kind of my transition time when I left Apollo Endosurgery and just needed some time to reinstill creativity. Part of which was growing a really long beard and hiking in the mountains. But after that, SparkMed became this creative co-op of talent and interesting and cool things. And so part of it was with biodesign. Biodesign at Stanford does a spectacular job of creating that next generation of leaders. But when they leave, they're inspired to go do these things, but yet oftentimes it's hard to find that first job, leveraging those skills. And so at SparkMed, we were assembling them and doing really interesting innovation projects together and working with some really great young talent. So that's been fun, and we've been able to leverage that and integrate that to some of the work we're doing at Santé. And then South by Southwest, gosh, that was our pop-up party that you came to at the Austin Speed Shop. We decided that for our SparkMed brand, we needed to do something at South by Southwest. So we did an underground party at the Austin Speed Shop, which is ironically run by a bunch of medtech guys, as you know, John Joyo and that crew. And we planned it in 3 weeks and had over 300 people show up. And so it was a
great
ton of fun.
event, Dennis.
We hope to do it again next year, actually.
Yeah.
As South by Southwest comes back to Austin. It's, that watching that evolve in the Austin ecosystem is really interesting. In health and health tech and even biotech and medtech now are becoming important themes in South by Southwest. So
Well, even now, as I think back on that, I think that we had there was a little stage in the back, and UT companies. So guys from the University of Texas were bringing out, this is what they've got going on.
Yeah, we actually brought in a couple local innovative companies. Actually, one of them, Harmonic Bionics, they just announced a $7 million financing. So,
Wow.
I think it's just, for us, Austin is going through this interesting stage right now. It's always been a leader on the tech side. But we're starting to build a little critical mass on the investment side in life sciences. We have a brand new medical school. So there's just a lot of interesting things happening. And frankly, half of California seems to have moved to Austin in the past 6 months. And so that's helped a lot with the ecosystem. Not to mention housing prices.
Well, if we can get South by Southwest to be live again, you just got to promise me you'll get Billy Cohen there.
Yeah, well, Billy, yeah.
It's not South by until you see Billy
Well,
do a
and
card
Billy
trick.
and some magic tricks, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's he's such a fun guy to work with. He's a venture partner with us at Santé, and I've been working with Billy for 15 years in innovation. First time I met him, he was working with these high energy magnets, and I asked him if they were safe. So he swallowed one right in front of me, and that's when I knew I found a kindred spirit on the innovation side.
Oh yeah, he truly is the mad scientist. He's the epitome of the entrepreneurial surgeon.
Yeah,
He's just ripped him right
well,
out.
and the work now they're doing at the Center for Device Innovation, his project at J&J and within the Texas Medical Center, it's become this unique little hub of innovation, and so it's been a fun place to work.
So what about that? So Santé, in Austin, you're down there in Texas. Houston's just up the road. Are you seeing? Is there any simpatico with TMCX or TMC?
Yeah, we do. We it's. No single community within Texas has a critical mass, but when you kind of combine what's happening in Austin, Dallas with UT Southwestern, and then of course Texas Medical Center, which is the largest medical center in the world, in aggregate, it's a very robust environment, and so you do see a lot of collaboration on that. Santé has an office in Houston. Our headquarters is in Austin, but we're there a lot, and we're always looking for next generation technologies across our portfolio there. And we're expanding that. We're actually opening an office in Boston now.
Congratulations.
We have a heavy biotech practice, and it's just I've got 2 companies myself that are in the greater Boston area. So Austin will still always be home for Santé, but it's a nice new growth area for us.
Yeah, I'm always kind of amazed. We talk about Boston. We've been visiting with a lot of people there. They're headquartered in Boston as well. And every time I go there, I'm amazed by the concentration. But then I think about Houston.
Yeah.
And the number of hospitals that are within the TMC network. I always think I'm a native son of Texas, so full bias.
Right.
But I always think, why not Houston and come in there? So I
can't
wait to see that take off.
Yeah, same with me. And actually, 2 of my startups, that I helped spin out, we're in the greater Houston medical ecosystem. Apollo came out of some research there, as did Chrysalis BioTech out of Galveston. So it is a great ecosystem. It's a tremendous place to do clinical studies. It's a tremendous place to launch and build companies and such. But it just takes time, and it's always been an energy-driven community. And so organizing the capital in a way that can build the entrepreneurs and the talent has just taken a long time. But you're seeing some really interesting things go through, and some really great high-class companies have evolved right out of that ecosystem and are starting to be able to grow in Houston, grow in Austin, grow in Dallas, and so it's been neat to see that ecosystem. I'm a native son as well, was born in Austin, and it's just great to see healthcare become such an important innovation hub within the state.
Yeah, I think that'll be interesting to see those ecosystems within Texas take off.
Well, and I think education is a big piece of that as well too. And so my other passion, I've always been passionate about innovation, but I was once a young entrepreneur, wanted to be an entrepreneur, and we were fortunate enough to have some mentors help me learn kind of through my career. And so it's been fun giving back along those lines. And so within Texas, you mentioned TMC. TMC has an entrepreneur program where they're taking young entrepreneurs and launching them into companies, and we're involved with that. We have our Venture Fellows program, and then you're starting to see other educational tracks pop up. Everybody's trying to mimic what biodesign has done at Stanford, and so it's been good to see that. And then I remain active internationally as well. There's a really great course I do in Strasbourg every year at a world-class surgical training facility that actually Vivian, our friend, mutual friend Vivian de Ruyter, helped found. And we bring together about 30 or 40 med students and engineering students from mainly Europe to Strasbourg, and we spend a week together, and it's a boot camp for innovation. So it's fun educating that next generation of innovators.
What's that environment like? What's that campus like?
Oh, on one hand, it's the largest surgical training institute in the world. So you have world-class equipment there. I get to play surgeon, which is fun. And so it's really hands-on. And then the faculty, my friends who are faculty there, Savannah Peretta and, Bernard Damagna, just world-class surgeon innovators. And we just have a good time together, and we're passionate about education, and it's a great place for somebody who wants to learn the pieces of innovation and how to get started.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. It's almost like having, I've always enjoyed whenever we get to do like a clinical study or do a cadaver lab, and it's like the one time you get to have you've got your 6 or 7 medical advisors, they're all together, all at once. Everybody's taking turns. The engineers are there. You're ideating. You're almost getting to do that, but in a beautiful environment.
My favorite times at Apollo were in the early days with some of our founding engineers and going to the lab and iterating on devices, going back to the hotel rooms at night and getting screwdrivers out. And they would let me build parts sometimes. And it was just that creativity and be able to see that creativity applied directly. It's just a great model, and and I think the way Stanford has organized that, and Tom Crummell, mutual friend, he's now a venture partner at Santé, and we're glad to have him in the Austin.
Didn't know that.
Yes, he's a new member of the Austin community, as I mentioned, and it's been great to have Tom on board. But just the way that Stanford has shown that you can build a true curriculum out of that innovative process. It was just a really, really important step, I think, in medical devices.
Oh, that's terrific. So what else is going on with you, Dennis?
Oh gosh, we're within Santé, we have the Venture Fellow program, but we've also created what lack of a better term, almost a startup studio with the Venture Fellows, and so that's allowing us to do some interesting seed investments in some areas of interest. Santé, since we do medtech, biotech, and health tech. There's a big theme over the past 2 LSIs around convergence and convergence of technologies. We get to see that and we get to play with that. And, I have really talented partners that are experts in all of those areas. And being able to leverage that as we think about new ideas and new areas has been a lot of fun. So that's been good. And then, still doing the regular venture job. We closed on a deal. Actually, we announced it last night at LSI in the ischemic stroke space, and did it with Terry Burke at Epidarex and Jeff Terrell at Hatteras and Maria Berkman at Broadview, and great syndicate. Really, really exciting technology, and so it's just I've really enjoyed being able to identify potentially world-changing, patient-changing technologies, and then enable that with capital. That's been fun, as opposed to my life for 25 years was, finding the technology and then begging for capital to try to move it forward. It's a little bit nicer on this side right now.
Is that what fuels the studio? Tell me more about the studio model. How does that is that where you train, or is that where companies are actually incubated?
We do both. I mean, we actually do de novo company formation there. I mean, we're not trying to mimic build large wet labs, or we're not trying to build hard assets within there. It's more an intellectual exercise of, we have themes within Santé that we think are very interesting from an investment perspective, digital surgery being one of them. And so, as we develop those themes, sometimes we find new technologies within academic labs, or sometimes we have our own ideas and we incubate those within companies. Sometimes that work leads to an investment. We did an investment recently with a company called Keela Health, which I believe you've met Bora Chain, who's our CEO there. And that evolved out of a lot of work we had done. And in thinking about, like, what do we do with all this data to improve surgical outcomes, which has been another passion area. And then partnered up with Intuitive Surgical's new venture arm there, and co-led around with them in Keela. So, sometimes the studio leads to, things that move into our main portfolio fund. Sometimes they're seed things that eventually migrate in that we've started. Sometimes they're ideas that, well, that was a fun idea, it was a good time, but let's not talk about it anymore and learn from our failures. So it's been good, and I think, Santé has always done company formation, so it's not new, but I think organizing it in the way that we have has been interesting, useful, and combining it with this talent generation of the Venture Fellow program has been exciting for me as well.
Anything else to share with us today?
Gosh, no, but Ben, I appreciate the pulpit here to preach my passions of innovation and education, and just look forward to working with you and other smart entrepreneurs and seeing great deals and helping move the healthcare field forward. So appreciate the opportunity to talk about it.
Dennis McWilliams, take 2, marker.